The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. First and 12. A total roundup of this weekend's BYU football and the new look Big 12 Conference. First and 12 is sponsored by Macy's Grocery Store. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL News Radio and the KSL Sports Zone.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday to all of you, Big 12 fans out there. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry, coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas. Cowtown, the Stockyards. Yeah, still down here in Texas, getting ready to recap all the action from Big 12 football this past weekend, Week 7. Alex, man, that was a beatdown for BYU to TCU. We'll get to all of it, but, man, that was a tough loss.
It was a tough one, and it was what's funny about a loss like that, too, is you would think, oh, man, there's just not a lot to say about that. There's actually surprisingly so many numbers that I kind of can't wait to get into where you just be like, you'll be shocked by how much craziness that went on in that game that went against BYU in terms of being able to win a football game. And it almost felt a little bit like they got caught up to, based off of how they had been sort of playing weeks before, Mitch. But, it was a tough one. We'll get into that. We've got all sorts of things to jump into. But why don't we just get going with everything? Since this is a Big 12-centered show, let's get to our Big 12 headlines.
12 headlines.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
The dozen storylines that shaped this week of Big 12 football. Headline 1.
We'll start here in Fort Worth as BYU falls to TCU, 44-11. Alex, I don't even think the score was as close as that would indicate. I think TCU could have put up a 60-piece on BYU. It was a tough day for BYU.
Yeah, interesting, there were a lot of TCU mistakes now that you bring it up. There were a lot of things that they sort of just set themselves back, but no problem. They had the game literally won points-wise in the first 2.5 minutes of play. And I think that as soon as that pick six was thrown by Keaton Slovis, that thing had already sort of written itself. It was like nobody could recover from that. Interestingly enough, considering that BYU had been behind so many other times, they had come back earlier in the season. But there you go. BYU gets absolutely blasted. Headline 2 is from that very game. Josh Hoover gets his first start. We did not respect the process, Mitch. These kids, they go through the process. Somebody finally gave me a shot, he said after the game. It was Sonny Dykes, and Josh Hoover throws for 400 yards in his first career start. He just needed a chance. That's all he needed. That's all that everybody ever needs, right? I mean, the guy goes in there, throws the ball almost 60 times, 437 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns, the 2 picks that absolutely did not matter at all. It was an absolute career day for anybody, but certainly a guy who's brand new at TCU and Josh Hoover. Crazy day for him. That's how they got the win, was on his back.
Hoover was outstanding. We'll get to more of that BYU-TCU game a little bit later this hour. Headline number 3. We talked about this last week, Alex. Kansas State, they make a switch at quarterback. Avery Johnson, he rushes for 5 touchdowns. That's the most by a Big 12 player since 2011. The last guy to do that from the quarterback position was Colin Klein, his OC. He leads Kansas State to a win on the road over Texas Tech, 38-21.
Yeah, they needed it too. I mean, considering what they had just come off of loss-wise, and they were at Texas Tech. That was a tough win for K-State. No reason to believe that they're going to be just totally heading in a downward spiral. So there you go. They get the win. Number 4, Texas Tech's quarterback Baron Morton gets hurt, and their freshman Jake Strong comes in. Doesn't get enough done. I think he's got a lot of promise, but my goodness, Texas Tech at home getting beat by a couple of touchdowns by Kansas State, and it's not good to see your quarterback go down ever.
Headline number 5, what a way to start the Big 12 week of action this week was Houston. They completed a Hail Mary on Thursday night to defeat West Virginia in the Dana Holgorsen Bowl.
The Dana Holgorsen Bowl. I mean, hey, anytime you're supposed to chalk something up for a win or a loss as to how it's supposed to, quote unquote, go in the Big 12, here comes Houston and goes, hey, this is where the AAC, Mitch, playing their guys on Thursday and Friday nights. They go, oh, we're used to this, man. They do it. West Virginia's like, I don't even know what hit us, man. That Hail Mary was ridiculous, and it was just a fun way to end that game. Congrats to Houston. They get a win over West Virginia. They get their first conference win.
Headline number 6, West Virginia. They almost had it done. They had 12 seconds left. They scored a touchdown on a 4th down play and thought, oh, West Virginia's going to go to 5-1. They're going to remain undefeated in Big 12 play. but they couldn't finish the job.
Yeah, no reason to think not, too, when you go into a situation like that. Just one of those crazy plays. It's a low percentage, but it converts sometimes. Oklahoma State, headline number 7 here. Ollie Gordon putting up 284 yards of total offense, 168 on the ground, 116 through the air. And Kansas, I don't know who they are anymore. We don't know who Oklahoma State is anymore. We'll hear from Mike Gundy a little bit later in the show, but 39-32, they get the win over Kansas.
Yeah, that was a nice win. Oklahoma State bouncing back because we had them at the bottom of this league. And
just
they
keep
have
them there, Mitch.
Just back.
Just in case. Just in case, because these teams keep changing so much. And be like, look, they'll be back there next week. Just keep them there. This, we're running out of dry erase markers at the station here, man. We can't keep moving these teams around the board like this, dude.
This week, I'm telling you, folks, stay tuned to hour number 2, the power rankings. It was a mess,
It's ridiculous.
but we're going to put it together still. Headline number 8, Iowa State's Rocco Beck, quarterback, throws 3 touchdowns as they roll through Cincinnati. Beck's turning it up. They're starting to find an identity after all the losses they had early in the season with the gambling scandal. Iowa State settling in at 3-1.
How are we suddenly getting Iowa State more consistent than anybody else in the conference? I have actually no idea why. Headline number 9, Cincinnati still has not won a game in Big 12 play. 4-game losing streak for the Bearcats. Not looking good for them, but hey, it's conference play. Everybody's trying to deal with it. Let's go.
Headline number 10. If America doesn't love the Big 12, this stat should tell them why they should start to love Big 12 football. 4 of the 5 winners in the Big 12 this week were underdogs. The lone underdog that didn't get it done was BYU.
And they've been underdogs all year, it seemed like, especially in conference play. This one was about as embarrassing as you could get when it comes to that. Headline 11, the top 3 teams right now in the Big 12. You ready for this, Mitch? Okay, Oklahoma, 3-0, fine. Iowa State, the Cyclones roll up and go, or they're 3-1 right now, just as we had it. And then there's 4 teams at 2-1. It's I don't even know what to say about this conference right now. They'll probably have a couple guys in the college football playoff at the end of this whole thing, right, Mitch? Come on.
I think Oklahoma's got to probably win out if they want to get to the playoff.
I mean,
because
please.
If they lose one game, it's probably going to be to a 3 or 4 loss team.
Somebody's got to do it. And finally, headline number 12. Those newcomers, as we just mentioned, are 2-10. Conference play is real. They told everybody. They told us. But first 12 league games for those newcomers, they're 2-10, including BYU, who's 1-2 in all of that. So only 1 win against the original 10 members as well. So those are your first 12 headlines from an absolute mess of a Saturday. I mean, when you look at it, this is why we love college football. This is why we dip in so much to this sport that we love, Mitch, is that the Big 12 is an absolute, it is the perfect example of any given Saturday, these teams will roll up, or a Thursday or a Friday, as we saw. These teams will roll up, and they're just eating their own right now. And I kind of love it. I kind of hate it. Hated it for BYU today, but I do like that in any game that goes forward right now, Vegas is getting so nervous. They just don't even know how to call these games at this point. I love it.
And it's so volatile at the quarterback spot, too. I mean, the names that we were talking about in those headlines, Avery Johnson, Jake Strong at Texas Tech, Rocco Beck. I mean, these were names that none of us were discussing preseason, and now they're going to be, seems like, the key guys in the near future for these teams. It's just a wild league right now. And, yeah, Oklahoma and Texas were on byes this weekend, but this league, again, it's just expect the unexpected because crazy things are going to happen every single week.
Speaking of the unexpected, you're going to get the Offensive Player of the Week. No doubt your Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week is going to be Josh Hoover, speaking of surprises. Let's get into that, though, when we come back. How this TCU 44, BYU 11 game really played out. Like I said, I've got some insane numbers, Mitch, that I'm going to roll past you. We're going to hear some sound as well from Kalani Sitake and his explanation. I mean, they worked their tails off to get ready for that game, and so it's even more depressing when you see that they end up losing to the fashion that they did because they were not expecting anything like this. Let's take that first break. We'll come back. It is 1st and 12, heard right here on KSL News Radio and on the KSL Sports Zone every Sunday. You can tune in 10 to noon and on KSL again this afternoon from 3 to 5, plus the podcast. My heavens. Download the podcast. Find it wherever you can. Catch up on all the Big 12 headlines across the league. More to go around the corner. It's right here. It's 1st and 12.